Beloved chosen one, if this message has found you, it's no coincidence. There's a reason your path has led you here. Trust the timing of your life and know that every step is guiding you exactly where your soul is meant to be. You have walked through seasons that were heavier than most people could carry. There were struggles you faced quietly, without applause or understanding. Many times you gave your time, your emotions, and your trust to God, even when it felt like nothing was changing. At moments, it seemed as if your effort and faith were being wasted, but they were never wasted. God sees everything you endured. Every tear you cried had purpose. Each tear became like water planted into the soil of your future. Those tears were not signs of weakness, they were seeds of growth. The long periods of waiting were not delays. They were times when your faith was being strengthened and prepared for what is coming next. Every time you chose to trust God without proof, without clarity, and without comfort, something powerful happened in the spiritual realm. You were building spiritual strength. You were storing blessings that would be released at the right time. Nothing you gave in faith was lost. Heaven recorded every act of obedience and endurance. Now the season is changing. What you invested through pain is beginning to return through blessing. This is a moment of restoration, alignment, and reward. God is bringing balance to what once felt unfair. What was taken from you emotionally, spiritually, or physically is being replaced with something greater. We're going to explore this message in 7 sections because each will help you understand why every season of your life, every tear, and every moment of waiting is part of God's perfect plan. Before we continue, take a moment to support and connect. Like, share, and subscribe, not just to help this message reach others, but because this word is meant to confirm what your spirit already feels. If this message speaks to your heart, write 77 in the comments. This number represents spiritual completion and divine fulfillment. It is a sign that a difficult chapter is closing and a new chapter of blessing is opening. Your season of suffering is giving way to a season of favor. This is your journey. This is your restoration. This is your moment of spiritual clarity. Now let us go deeper. Section number 1. Your time was never wasted chosen. One of the strongest lies you were made to believe was that you were falling behind in life. You looked around and saw other people moving forward. They were celebrating achievements, starting relationships, growing businesses, and stepping into lives that looked similar to what you once prayed for. As you watched, questions began to rise in your heart. You asked God why your journey looked slower. You wondered if you had missed your moment. But heaven saw a different picture. While you were focusing on what others had, God was focused on who you were becoming. The work happening inside you was quiet and hidden. Many of your battles were invisible to others, but they were fully known by God. Your growth did not appear on social media, but it was real and powerful. While some people were chasing quick success and temporary moments, you were being shaped for a lasting purpose. Every delay in your life had meaning. Each time something did not happen when you expected it to, God was protecting and preparing you. Those moments of waiting were not rejection. They were signs that God was building depth, wisdom, and strength inside you. You were never late. You were never behind schedule. You were in a season of refinement. Fast results often disappear quickly, but the blessings that come from God are built to last. God took time with you because the calling on your life carries weight. Before releasing His promises, He made sure your foundation was strong enough to hold them. If everything had come too early, it could have overwhelmed you instead of blessing you. The quiet seasons of your life were holy seasons. The unanswered messages, the closed doors, and the long waiting periods were not empty moments. They were times of spiritual training. In those moments, you learned how to hear God even when life was silent. You learned how to find peace without approval from others. You learned how to keep believing when there was no proof in front of you. You were stretched so you could grow stronger. You learned patience when your heart wanted to rush ahead. You learned wisdom when emotions tried to lead. You learned how to stand firm when everything in you wanted to give up. This was not wasted time. This was divine preparation. Chosen one, remember this truth. The world judges growth by how fast someone moves, but God measures growth by how steady and grounded a person becomes. You were not just waiting for change, you were growing during the waiting season. Your character was being shaped. You learned humility, faithfulness, and clarity of purpose. Instead of acting from fear or pressure, you learned how to move in peace and obedience. You are beginning to understand that what God has planned for you cannot be stopped or taken away. It may take time, but it is never forgotten. While things seemed quiet on the outside, God was carefully completing His work within you. He is reminding you now that you did not waste time. You placed that time into obedience and trust. Every prayer you whispered, every tear you cried, and every moment you chose faith over doubt built something lasting inside your spirit. Those experiences gave you wisdom and grace that shortcuts could never provide. You now carry strength that comes from endurance, not rush. Some people may have appeared to move ahead of you. Their progress may have looked faster, but your journey has given you depth, and depth allows you to go further. You were refined through the process. God removed what was unnecessary and strengthened what was essential. You are now prepared for the purpose you were called to fulfill. Your life is not defined by how much time passed. It is defined by God's timing. Divine timing honors faithfulness, not impatience. You did not miss your opportunity. You grew into the person who could handle it. The same God who allowed you to remain hidden for a season is now bringing you into the light. Heaven is declaring that you are ready. What you have been waiting for is also waiting for you. Every promise, every breakthrough, and every door God planned is aligning with your readiness. Your time was never wasted, chosen one. It was invested in becoming who God always intended you to be. Section number 2. Your tears were seeds, not signs of failure. Chosen one, the moments when you cried alone were never ignored by God. The nights when your heart felt heavy, when memories of hurt, rejection, and unanswered prayers replayed in your mind, were fully seen. Even when you felt forgotten, heaven was paying attention. Nothing you went through was meaningless. Every tear you shed carried purpose. God does not overlook your pain. Scripture reminds us that God values every tear because each one carries a story. Your tears were not empty. They held your prayers, your hopes, and the cries of your heart. When you wept, those tears did not disappear. In the spiritual realm, they were planted like seeds into the ground of your future. Crying did not mean you were weak. It meant you were fighting a battle within your soul. Each time you cried and still chose to trust God, you were showing strong faith. You were not falling apart. You were opening your heart so God could heal and reshape you. Your tears were preparing blessings you had not yet seen. What looked like pain was actually refinement. God saw your tears as silent prayers. They spoke when words failed. Each moment of weeping sent a message to heaven that you had not given up. While the enemy tried to use your tears to discourage you, God used them to purify and strengthen you. Through your tears, you grew stronger. You gained understanding through sorrow. You released relationships that could not go with you into your next season. You let go of dreams that no longer matched God's plan. You even released old versions of yourself that could not carry the calling ahead. Your tears marked a transformation. The old season was ending and a new one was beginning. Tears are proof that your heart is still alive. They show that you still care, still believe, and still hope. They nourish the path God has prepared for you. When you cried and chose forgiveness, you planted peace in your heart. When you cried and continued moving forward, you planted endurance. When you cried but refused to turn away from God, you planted faith. Even if you did not realize it at the time, your tears became an offering. They were the most honest gift you could give when strength felt gone. Your tears were never wasted. They were seeds growing into your destiny. Chosen one, you did more than simply make it through difficult seasons. You allowed God to use those seasons to shape and cleanse your heart. When life tries to make you cold, you choose to stay gentle. When pain tries to turn you angry, you choose growth instead. Because of this, heaven recognizes you as favored. God says He saw every quiet tear you shed. He noticed the times you wiped your face and kept going, even when your heart felt heavy. None of those moments were ignored. Now God is transforming that pain into a powerful story of victory. A new season is approaching, happiness is returning. This joy is not temporary or shallow. It is a healing joy. It is the kind of joy that brings understanding to long nights of struggle and gives meaning to past suffering. You will feel joy again. You will find reasons to smile, move forward, and hope again. Every tear you cried was planted like a seed in the spiritual realm. While you could not see it, heaven was caring for those seeds. The sorrow you once experienced is now making room for visible blessings. You did not cry because you were weak. You cried because your spirit sensed that change was coming. What you release in private is about to be revealed in public. Your breakthrough is approaching. God did more than remember your tears. He changed them into strength. He is turning sadness into forward movement, pain into purpose, and grief into praise. Lift your head with confidence. You did not lose yourself. You learned to surrender. You did not fall apart. You moved into a new level of freedom. Every tear held value. Each one was exchanged for wisdom, peace, and restoration. What once clouded your vision is now nourishing the blessings that are preparing to appear in your life. Joy is coming, not by chance, but because of endurance. Because you remained faithful. Because you trusted God. Because you protected your heart when bitterness felt easier. Your tears were never meaningless. They were seeds. And now the season of harvest has begun. Section number 3. Your trust became your story. Chosen one, the strength that carried you forward was not your abilities, your confidence, or your power. It was your trust in God. When life around you felt unstable and confusing, your faith became the thing that held you together. Even when you had no clear direction, no answers, and no control over the outcome, you still chose to believe in God. That choice mattered. Every time you decided not to give up, heaven noticed. Each step you took, without understanding the full picture, was an act of faith. Every moment you chose worship instead of despair, even while everything felt broken, was recorded in the spiritual realm. Trust is not revealed during easy seasons. It is revealed when the path is unclear. It grows in moments of silence, when prayers seem unanswered and the promises feel far away. Still, you remained faithful. You stayed when others left. You continued believing when your plans fell apart. You trusted God even when people misunderstood you, questioned your intentions, or criticized your journey. Each time you said, "God, I don't understand this, but I will follow you," you were showing deep faith. Heaven recognized those moments as strength under pressure. God never asked you to be perfect. He asked you to keep going. Your trust was the gift you offered him. While others needed visible proof before believing, you chose faith before evidence. You said yes to God during seasons when everything around you suggested no. You placed your hopes and dreams into God's hands without knowing how the story would end. That act of surrender shaped you. It showed that your faith was built on relationships, not outcomes. Heaven saw it. The spiritual realm recorded it. You passed difficult tests that many could not endure because your trust was rooted in connection with God, not in immediate results. Your trust did not go unnoticed. It became your testimony. Chosen one, the faith you carried during your hardest seasons has been telling your story all along. The same trust that helped you walk through dark valleys is now creating new opportunities in front of you. Trust does more than remove obstacles. It changes the heart and mindset of the person walking the journey. Through your experience, you became wiser, calmer, and more spiritually grounded. You no longer react with fear when challenges appear. You respond with prayer. You no longer see delays as denial. You recognize them as guidance. This is what true trust produces. It brings clarity where confusion once lived and alignment where uncertainty once ruled. God noticed every moment you wanted to stop but chose to continue. He saw the nights when you promised to keep believing, even when faith felt painful. Because of that faith, heaven is now responding. God is saying that because you trusted him during dark times, he will honor you in visible ways. What you practiced quietly is becoming evident publicly. The obedience no one saw is now releasing favor everyone will notice. The faith you carried in private is preparing to show results in your life. Those who misunderstood your silence will soon understand your progress. Those who stepped away during your struggle will witness the growth that followed. Your faith was not only for your own life, it created a foundation for future generations. Your perseverance built spiritual value. The blessings coming into your life are not the result of chance. They are the result of faithfulness. Your trust was never about appearance. It was about survival and relationship with God. Now, what you once prayed for with tears is about to appear with clarity. Trust was the process that transformed loss into gain. You believed without answers, and now answers are approaching you. You remained faithful without signs, and now confirmation is arriving. You believed when no one else did, and now heaven is responding openly. Lift your head, chosen one. This moment is not the end of waiting. It is the beginning of a reward. God is reminding you that your faith was not based on comfort, but on commitment. Because of that, doors that were once closed are opening. Favor that was delayed is being released. You are stepping into the fulfillment of prayers that your trust carried. Your faith told the story. Now, that story is becoming a victory. Section number 4. You are being refined, not rejected. Chosen one, there were times when you went to sleep with tears in your eyes, wondering why people walked out of your life. You questioned yourself. You asked what you did wrong. You tried to change who you were so others would stay. You tried to become easier to love. But the truth is this: you were never lacking. Your spirit was simply growing beyond the environment around you. God saw what you could not see. He heard conversations you were never meant to hear. He understood intentions that were hidden from you. He allowed certain people to leave because they were not equipped to walk with you into your next season. What felt like rejection was actually direction. What felt like loss was protection. Some people could not remain in your life because your growth exposed what they were unwilling to face within themselves. Your presence carried light, and that light revealed areas they did not want to heal. They did not leave because you were damaged. They left because you were changing and rising. God did not separate you to harm you. He separated you to cleanse and prepare you. The process was painful, but it was necessary. Certain relationships, habits, and environments had to be removed so that your future could take shape. Every closed door was an act of mercy. Every delay was a change in direction. Every ending was God saying that path was not meant for you. When you thought opportunities were slipping away, God was actually protecting your purpose. He was keeping you from places and people that would have limited your growth. You did not fail. You were being filtered. The seasons of being alone were not empty seasons. They were hidden seasons of growth. God stepped you away from distractions so He could strengthen your spirit in private. Refinement is not comfortable. It removes what does not belong. It exposes false beliefs, unhealthy attachments, and pride that cannot follow you forward. This process tests your patience and stretches your faith. It humbles you and reshapes you. But what remains after refinement is strength, clarity, and truth. The pain you felt was not punishment. It was a transformation taking place. You are not rejected. You are being refined. Every tear you cried was removing limits you once carried inside. Every heartbreak was opening space for the gifts and strength already placed within you. When you felt unseen and overlooked, God was paying close attention to who you were becoming. He was shaping your character, building your endurance, and strengthening your heart. You were never being corrected or punished. You were being carefully prepared. That is why certain places could no longer hold you. That is why some relationships ended without explanation. That is why some dreams had to end so new life could come later. None of it was random. It was preparation for clarity and purpose. Precious metal does not resist the fire that refines it. The process reveals its true value. In the same way, you were refined because of your worth, not because of failure. The challenges you faced were not meant to break you. They were meant to set you apart. You endured pressures that would have stopped many others, yet you remained standing. Now you carry wisdom, strength, and a calm confidence that cannot be imitated. What you reflect now is real. It is not an act or performance. It is the result of growth and presence. You no longer need to prove who you are. The version of yourself from before the pain could not fully walk into the future God prepared for you. The endings you experienced were not losses. They were releases. You were freed from environments that could not honor your value. You did not lose the right people. You outgrew situations that could not support your purpose. You did not miss what was meant for you. You grew into it. And now, what left your life made room for what truly belongs in it. Section number 5. The quiet of God was your divine shield. In the stillness, God was building you, chosen one, there were times when God seemed quiet. You prayed, you waited, you searched for answers, and all you felt was stillness. Your heart asked, "God, where are you?" It felt like he had turned away. But what seemed like silence was not neglect. It was protection. God was not ignoring you, he was securing you. His quietness was part of a divine plan. Silence is often the hidden place where God prepares the faithful for what is coming. It is the place where trust grows, even when feelings waver. In those moments, God was teaching you to rely on faith rather than sight, on his word rather than your emotions. He was building strength in your spirit you didn't know existed. If God had revealed everything too early, the enemy could have intercepted your blessing. He hid your promise until you were ready to receive it. What looked like a delay was actually defense. You were being strengthened, positioned, and protected in ways you could not yet understand. Had you seen the full plan too soon, fear or doubt might have made you run. Had you known betrayals in advance, you might have tried to stop them and missed the lessons they were meant to teach. God allowed you to move one step at a time, by faith, so that your trust could grow. In that quiet season, your intuition sharpened. You learned to recognize his voice in the midst of life's noise. You began to see his guidance in unexpected ways. The right people entering your life at the perfect time. Closed doors that were actually protection. Strength rising inside you when you thought you could not go on. Even when God seemed silent, he was speaking through peace, timing, and inner confirmation. Every unanswered prayer was still being answered in heaven. While you were waiting, he was aligning resources, orchestrating connections, and positioning blessings for the right moment. Chosen one, quiet seasons are sacred. They separate those who follow superficially from those who follow fully surrendered. Staying faithful in silence moves you from simply believing to building, from being a follower to becoming a vessel. Only those who trust God in the dark can carry his glory into the light. Your faith in silence was never wasted. It was the preparation for your breakthrough. Now that the quiet season is ending, you are beginning to understand what God was doing while it seemed silent. The relationships that ended were meant to protect you. The doors that stayed closed were guiding you toward the right path. You were not being delayed. You were being secured. The blessings God prepared for you could not be rushed, and neither could your growth. Chosen one, God's silence was not absence. He was working in secret. He was strengthening your ability to discern, growing your faith, and grounding your heart in truth. You learned how to pray without fear, act without anxiety, and rest without trying to control everything. Now, you no longer need loud signs to know God is with you. You can feel him in quiet moments, sense him in the invisible, and trust his presence even when nothing seems to change. This is what your season of silence has produced. Peace that remains steady, even when life feels uncertain. Confidence that does not falter, even when confusion surrounds you. Section number 6. Your faithful sacrifice is written in heaven. Chosen one, heaven has been watching you closely, not with judgment, but with infinite love and care, seeing every moment you gave yourself even when it seemed unnoticed by the world. Every tear you shed in private, every quiet yes you whispered to God when saying no would have been easier. Every battle you fought silently in faith, all of it has been seen, measured, and recorded in the eternal records of heaven. Even when it felt as though your obedience, patience, and humility went unrecognized, nothing escaped God's awareness. The moments that felt the most lonely, the nights that broke your spirit, the struggles that tested your endurance, they were all sacred in God's sight. You sacrificed comfort to pursue your calling. You gave it when it didn't make logical sense. You forgave when your heart screamed against it. You loved those who couldn't love you back, and you served when no one offered thanks or recognition. All of these acts became spiritual currency stored securely in the vaults of heaven, a treasure that cannot be diminished or stolen. While the world measures success in wealth, accolades, or public recognition, God measures your life in acts of mercy, surrender, and unwavering faith. Every time you chose righteousness over revenge, every time you resisted temptation, every prayer whispered through tears, every act of obedience done quietly and without applause was recorded as a seed planted in eternity. You may have thought you were merely surviving, but in truth, You were sowing seeds that would one day bloom into a harvest far greater than you could imagine. Your pain and endurance had divine purpose. God saw the days you worked while broken, prayed while weary, and gave while your resources felt empty, and every act of faithfulness has been stored to bring forth blessing at the perfect time. Nothing, not one tear, not one lonely night, not one silent prayer was ever wasted. Heaven has perfect records. When you released people God asked you to let go of, even when it tore your heart apart, heaven acknowledged your obedience. When you refused to compromise your integrity for approval or recognition, heaven celebrated. When you chose silence instead of defending yourself against lies, heaven documented your restraint and righteousness. Every moment you felt overlooked or ignored was actually a part of God's divine bookkeeping, a way of writing your faithfulness and obedience into your destiny. God maintains books that record every act of sacrifice, every choice to walk in integrity, and every faithful step taken under pressure. The enemy tried to convince you that your efforts were meaningless, that your suffering had no purpose, and that your faithfulness would go unrewarded. But the truth is that the longer you remained faithful in seasons of pressure and testing, the greater your spiritual return became. Heaven never forgets those who choose faith over fear, surrender over control, and trust over doubt. Every time you gave to someone when your own resources were low, every time you blessed people who could never repay you, every unseen act of love, mercy, and generosity has been multiplied in the spiritual realm. And now, all of those seeds, planted through sacrifice and obedience, have matured, ripened, and are ready to produce a divine harvest that will meet you in your season, confirm your faith, and reward your endurance. Chosen one, every tear you cried, every test you endured, every act of faith you offered in silence has been accounted for. Heaven remembers. Heaven multiplies. Heaven releases. Your faithful giving, your sacrificial living, your patient endurance, all of it is coming to fruition now. What you sowed in secrecy is being revealed in abundance. What you trusted God for in tears is now manifesting in truth. Your obedience has become your inheritance, and your faithfulness is becoming the foundation for your destiny. Chosen one, the season you are entering now is not random or by chance. It is the direct result of your faithfulness, your endurance, and your unwavering obedience, and it carries the full weight of divine reward. God is releasing repayment for every act of sacrifice, every tear shed in secret, and every faithful step you took in seasons of waiting, and He is releasing it with exponential blessing, rewards that will not only meet your needs, but also establish a firm foundation for your life and destiny. This reward will go far beyond the material. It will bring divine peace that cannot be shaken by circumstances, favor that moves on your behalf in ways others cannot understand, restored strength that replenishes your body, mind, and spirit, and supernatural alignment with the purposes God has written over your life. Doors that were once closed, opportunities that seemed unreachable, and blessings that were delayed will now open effortlessly because heaven itself has authorized your release and set your path for breakthrough. At this moment, there is a sound in the spiritual realm that is announcing your season of elevation, a sound of recognition, a declaration from heaven that says your faith has been counted, your labor has been meticulously recorded, and your sacrifices have been sealed in the eternal book of remembrance. God is not merely restoring what was lost, He is elevating you into a new dimension of grace, favor, and authority, into a level of blessing and anointing that you have never experienced before. You are stepping into alignment with the fullness of God's plan for your life, into a reality where the invisible work of the past now manifests openly, where every moment of patience and endurance becomes visible proof of God's faithfulness, and where your life begins to operate in a level of spiritual authority, provision, and purpose that confirms that heaven has indeed been working on your behalf. This is your appointed time, chosen one. Every delay, every closed door, every season of waiting has prepared you for this divine moment. What you are about to receive is not simply restoration, it is a supernatural elevation into your God-given destiny, a season where heaven itself is moving to honor your faith, your obedience, and your unwavering trust in the one who never forgets, never overlooks, and always rewards those who remain faithful. Here comes the last section, number 7, Your pain has been transformed into power. Chosen one, look carefully at your life and see the masterpiece that God has been creating through every season of suffering. Because every moment of pain, every storm that shook your foundation, every heartbreak that once threatened to crush your spirit has now been transformed into strength, wisdom, and divine perspective that cannot be taken away. The very trials that tried to overwhelm you became the instruments God used to shape your character, fortify your faith, and prepare your heart for the purpose He has ordained. You are no longer defined by wounds, disappointments, or the things that tried to defeat you. Instead, you are fueled by resilience, enlightened by wisdom, and empowered by supernatural insight that only comes from walking faithfully through seasons of testing. Every tear you shed, every trial you endured, every night of waiting and unanswered questions was a divine teacher, training you to endure with patience, persevere with courage, and ultimately thrive in ways that could never have been possible without the crucible of hardship. Time cultivated your patience, your tears developed compassion, and your steadfast trust in God forged an unshakable spirit that refused to be moved by circumstance. The lessons hidden in your struggles have now become armor for your soul, shielding your destiny from compromise, protecting your calling, and equipping you to operate with clarity and confidence in the face of any opposition. The discipline, humility, and perseverance you learned in seasons of difficulty now serve as spiritual weapons, ensuring that your next steps are guided by divine alignment rather than human emotion. What once appeared to be lost is now revealed as meticulous preparation. What once felt like emptiness is now an overflowing reservoir of strength, insight, and spiritual discernment. God is declaring to you, the chosen one, that you have paid the price through faithfulness, and now it is time to step boldly into the fulfillment of your promise. The pain that once brought you to your knees has become the source of your leadership, the very thing that equips you to guide others with empathy and authority. The scars that once caused shame now testify to God's healing power, demonstrating that restoration is real and that nothing was wasted. You are not marked by failure or defeat. You are chosen, strengthened, and built for purpose. You are not broken. You are refined, established, and prepared to operate in the fullness of the destiny God has crafted specifically for you. Every moment you felt unnoticed, overlooked, or dismissed, God was quietly positioning you for your appointed season. Every time you felt isolated, alone, or left behind, He was elevating you to levels of authority, favor, and insight that only perseverance through hardship could produce. Every time weakness seemed to overtake your spirit, God was secretly strengthening you, building resilience, patience, and discernment in ways that could only be revealed in due season. Walk confidently now, chosen one, because the price you paid with your time, your tears, and your unwavering trust has been fully recorded, and heaven is ready to repay you with abundance, peace, and purpose far beyond what you could have imagined. This is your appointed season of divine repayment, a time when doors that once refused to open will swing wide without resistance. Relationships that once disappointed, betrayed, or hurt, you will now be restored according to God's perfect plan, and opportunities that seemed lost or delayed will arrive in perfect alignment with your destiny, fully equipped to fulfill the purpose God ordained for your life. You are blessed because you remained faithful when others gave up. You are favored because you trusted God when nothing in the natural made sense. Your story is not coming to an end. It is only beginning, unfolding into a new chapter of supernatural elevation and divine alignment. The same God who watched over you in tears, who saw every moment of your private struggle, will now witness your rise. The same God who allowed trials and setbacks to test your endurance will now release triumphs, blessings, and manifestations of favor that have been waiting for the perfect timing. The seeds you sowed in sorrow through patience and obedience are now flowering into joy, prosperity, and recognition. Your perseverance has positioned you for breakthroughs, promotions, and levels of influence that others could only dream of. And the character forged in seasons of suffering has prepared you to carry these blessings with wisdom, humility, and authority in every area of your life. Chosen one, this is your divine reward. The wait was not wasted. The pain was not in vain. The trust you maintained through uncertainty and hardship was counted, and now God is releasing the fullness of every promise He spoke over your life. Your breakthrough has arrived, Your favor is manifesting, and your season of elevation, abundance, and supernatural alignment has begun. Heaven itself is celebrating your faithfulness, and the reward of your endurance will make every tear, trial, and test worthwhile. If you're eager for more, whether additional chapters to this spiritual journey or a powerful visual concept for a video or thumbnail, simply just say the word. I'm here and am ready to help bring it all to life.